to be alive, and truly there's power in Jesus to break whatever those chains you're facing. Welcome to the program Transforming Lives on Global 99.5 every Sunday, 4 to 5. Cable TV 974. We're also on Zoom. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. You can go to any one of those channels and join us and be a part of the conversation. Our WhatsApp number, 433-6917. So if you wish to be a part of the conversation, you can share your comments, ask your questions by WhatsApping us on 433-6917. So I just want to remind you of a number of promotions just before we begin. Those who have attended the CC Suiting, we were known in my days as the Big Dollhouse. There's a game night planned for this coming Saturday night. So we're inviting all of you to be a part of that. That should be an awesome event. Play your bingos, your dominoes, sit down, have a drink, have something to eat, and support the CC Suiting Senior High School as they plan and prepare for their 50th anniversary. And so they're inviting all the students from 1971 to 2021 to come out and be a part of this 50th anniversary of the school. I also want to remind you folks, last week we were in Freeport, Grand Bahama. So you know, it was amazing. Last week, Saturday, we were locked down under the weather. And then Sunday, we came out, it was nice and bright and sunny like it is today. And should my life be spared, I'll be back in Freeport next weekend for Father's Day at the Freeport Seventh-day Adventist Church, as I will be sharing with the fathers and encouraging them to be the leaders that Christ has called us as men to be. And so this week, as I reflect back, we attended a candlelight vigil for a 13-year-old boy who was shot. And, you know, it was such a moving experience, looking at the dad, looking at the mom, you know, and for those of us who have children, we can only imagine that, you know, that's something none of us, I think, would want to experience. You always figure your children would bury you, but not that you would have to bury a child, you know, so that's something. Also, I just want to remind you, next week, Sunday, we'll be coming live from the prison. You have already gotten the necessary permission. So those of you listening, I'm inviting you to WhatsApp me at 433-6917. I still need some support to pull this off. You know, we have to pay for the live radio broadcast. We want to be able to supply some chicken sauce, provide some drinks to the residents there. I'm targeting about 150 to 200 men at the Department of Corrections. I also need to get some tents, 230 by 30 tents. And of course, you know, all of this comes with a price. There's a cost attached to it. So I'm asking those of you, just WhatsApp me at 433-6917. Wherever you can give some assistance, let me know, and I will come to you. Okay, I will come to you and pick it up. And we're also hoping to provide some gift packs to the residents at the Department of Corrections, like some soap, deodorant, you know, and it's like 150 to 200 persons. But we know that our God in Christ, with him, everything is possible. With man, it seems to be impossible. And there's still persons who may doubt if it were going to happen. But I can tell you the Christ that I serve, with him, it is impossible. Okay. And so in planning for that, there's a meeting tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at Creative Christian Arts Ministry with Apostle Henry Higgins. That's just north of Commonwealth Bank on Nassau Street. And so I don't want you to meet me there. You can beat me there if you wish to be a part of it. At 7 p.m. tomorrow night at Creative Christian Arts Ministry. Once again, 433-6917 if you need to reach out to me, be a part of the meeting. And then I want to invite you to another program that I'm a part of. Every Tuesday we meet at the Hope Center with Dr. Carlos Reed. And there's a group called the Brotherhood. We have went into a number of communities over the last months, last year, talking to young men about the risks, the chance. And the Brotherhood presents itself as an alternative to gang violence. And so I'm inviting you to be a part of it. Particularly our men, you can meet at the Hope Center. That's Tuesday night, 7 p.m. So Monday night, Creative Christian Arts Ministries for the prison ministry. and Tuesday for the Brotherhood with Dr. Carlos Reid, as he's sharing a number of initiatives that he's planning to counteract gang violence. That's what the group is all about. And that's why we were part of the vigil that was held. And this is not the first time, so we've been to numerous of them. And one of the things we do is we go into communities before even violence take place, okay? So it's not an after effect. So I'm just inviting you, you have a young man, you have a young boy who wish to be a part of it. They can meet us at the Hope Center, located on the Sports Center Road with Dr. Carlos Reid, and share in some of the programs. And this is an ideal place for young men before they become challenged. This is a good opportunity to bring them, especially our young boys. Okay, so that's Tuesday. So I just wanted to mention that. All right, alternative to gang violence. Now today, as we transition into Moments with Christ, we want to congratulate our speaker, and you'll congratulate him in your own special way. Today, him and his wife are celebrating 61 years. Can you believe it? I'm not even 60. I'm not 61. They're celebrating 61 years of marriage today. But because he believed that this program was so important, that what he shared, he decided that he will spend these 5 minutes, we call it Moments with Christ. That's right, Jackie, 61 years. She says, that's awesome, right? I haven't been on this earth that long. And so Dr. McMillan, I want to first extend my congratulations, happy anniversary. And I want to welcome you here as you share with us Moments with Christ.
Thank you very much, Dave, and good afternoon to everybody on the platform. And thank you for your congratulations. And it is true, 61 years married to the same lady, and I knew her about 4 years before. So that's 64 years altogether with one beautiful, nice Bahamian lady from Lewis Street. And we are still here enjoying that love. You know, this is where dementia has a value in this sense that all you remember now is all the good, the nice things. It's just like it was like the first time. You know, you have to find something to look at as negative. So that's the way it is. It's wonderful. And that brings me to what I want to share this afternoon, as I understand the subject, what it's going to be, and consistent, Dave, with the theme that I presented at Holy Dove Baptist Church this morning about Christ. And the more I deal with this, the more I'm pressed with it. That when Adam and Eve sinned, and I like the way that the assistant pastor mentioned it, repeated my sermon this morning, it is this, that I like how he did it. In the Bible, it says, the three, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit said, let us make human being in our own image. And as he said, that shows that there are three, one, but three in one. Now, when Adam and Eve sinned, God the Father, and this is how he said it, I like it. He says, God the Father says, I'm finished with you all. I am finished with you, Adam and Eve. I'm finished with that planet. And that's it. That's what the Father said. But the plan called for the Son now to deal with this planet. In other words, God the Father can deal with sin and sinners. He's too holy. He's like a devouring fire. But the Son was given that responsibility. That's how important this moment is for us each Sunday or whenever we come on and we are presenting Moments with Christ. For Jesus is our only connection. Now, some folks don't believe this. They just take it for granted. They say, oh, yeah. But listen, it is true. Jesus is the only connection we have with God the Father. There are two texts that prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Paul says there's one God the Father, and there's one mediator between that God the Father and we as sinful human beings. And that's Jesus Christ. Then it came straight from the lips of Christ when he said, it is me. I am the way. I am the truth. And I don't care who you are. You can't get to the Father but by me. So Jesus is our only source of eternal life. And then everything that comes after that, that will be eternal. You can believe that if you don't want to, but I can tell you, it's the only hope for this planet. It's the only hope because the wages of sin is death. Life is only in Christ Jesus. Now for the text for this moment, this very moment. It's John 1 and it is verse 3. Well, let's go from 1 to 3. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, right? And in the beginning he was with God. That God there is God the Father. This is the Trinity. And then it says, all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. It goes back to that first statement, let us make human beings in our image. It's amazing how this is so beautiful. So what does that mean today? Whatever you discuss today in a physical way, remember that Jesus made it. He created it. Whatever it is, whatever aspect of the human body, our mental, physical, listen, anything that was made, he made it. And if he made it, he knows how to take care of it. And even in him, when it passes, it's like a sleep. He can recreate it. And we know that's possible because of the DNA. We recommend, when I say we, I believe all the founders of this program, all, Dave, all, and my good friend who greeted me, Sister Gardner, and all the others, we believe that Jesus is the key for our lives, both now, tomorrow, and forever. So what you may hear, you may be suffering or what have you, he's the great physician. He is. He is the life giver. He owns the cattle upon 1,000 hills. And more than that, he owns our lives by faith. And then we live with him, we sleep with him, he wakes us up, and we live in eternally with him. May this be the experience of each of us today, tomorrow, and forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mark, for that opportunity to share. So now I'm just going to turn it over to my co-host, Jackie Gardner. Only one question I want to know, Jackie. I don't know men is go through menopause, so make sure you ask your guest that, okay?
Well, thank you so very much, the one and only Dave Williams.
But Jesus made it.
You can ask that question for yourself. But I want to say happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to the show, Transforming Lives. We are here every Sunday at 4 p.m. and our main objective, our main objective is to transform positively, not just transform lives, positively transform lives. And we know that the greatest transformation is through Jesus Christ. So, our pastor's always, our doctor's always spot on. And so it's always great to have him in the house. Thank you very much again for a very enriching devotion. So we're talking about the big taboo subject. Yes, I said it. Taboo subject, menopause. And I'm telling you, our guest today is well able. This lady is on fire with information. We are glad, we are blessed to have in the room on Transforming Lives. I could tell you she could have been anywhere else. This lady has invitation pouring in, but she has consented on this Sunday, 4 p.m. today to be the guest on Transforming Lives. And I would like to welcome her to the show, Transforming Lives. Welcome the one and only Miss Patrice Lockhart. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It is so good to be here.
All right. So we're going to get right into it because I know you are full with information.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to let you introduce yourself in the interest of time. Tell us, who is Patrice and why is Patrice connected to such a taboo subject as menopause?
In one word, destiny. First of all, it is so good to be here. My name is Patrice Lockhart. I'm the mother of two wonder. You know what? I'm a little prejudiced. I think God gave me the two best children in the whole wide world. I have a 27-year-old son and a 20-year-old daughter. And I'm just prejudiced that God just blessed me. So he blessed me with two amazing children. I have been in the health and wellness field for 20, my son is 27, so over 20 something years. And I began many years ago when God had said to me that I was responsible for my family's health. And all I knew at that time was what I grew up with. And when God had said that, it took me on a journey. I had become the marketing manager of a fruits and vegetable stores in Grand Bahama. And it was the first time I had to deal with the fruits and vegetable industry. I knew about the hospitality industry. And what my boss had said to me at that time was I had 6 months to make our stores a household name. And at the same time, God said to me I was responsible for my family's health. At the same time he did that, God opened the door where I met someone from India who was into abiotic medicine. And for a whole year, he mentored me. At the same time, I met a health chef. And so I began incorporating all of this, and then I began learning. Now, I am one of those. Listen, I love to learn.
All right.
I will pick up a course. I will pay for a course, and I will do a whole course. And because I just love learning. And it continued like that. I became a resource. People ended up calling me doc sometimes. I'm like, no. And I was just able to help people. In 2007, I think it was, the World Organization of Natural Medicine held that Congress in the Bahamas. And I remember I was asked to be the moderator for the event. And this is an event where all over the world, Europe, the United States, Canada, Africa, French-speaking countries, Spanish-speaking countries. I even met the Princess of Kuwait. During that time, God was doing so much in my life, and I was asked to moderate. And I remember one day during the middle of a break, I stood in the middle of the floor when everybody was gone. And there was cameras from all over the world. I mean, all over the world. And I stood up and I looked, God, what am I doing here? And at that time, Dr. Effie Chow, she was the President Bill Clinton was in at the time. And she was the one who wrote the bill for natural medicine. During that time, Memoirs of a Geisha was out. I don't know if you remember that, but Terry DeGawa. And I am in the midst, standing up, talking to these people. I mean, all over the news, you see Dr. Effie Chow and Bill Clinton and all these people. And I'm like, God, what is going on? And I remember people were asking who I was. There was members of ministers of health from all over the world. And for a minute, I'm like, God, why am I here?
Yeah. Strategic connections. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. God connected me then with loads of scientists, everybody from all around the world. And it was then somehow I understood it was more than about me, all of this stuff. I ended up coming here to Nassau, etc. And the health journey began back then. But how I got into menopause.
Yeah.
Menopause, I went into a phase of my life where I wasn't sleeping. For about a whole year, I wasn't sleeping. Then 6 weeks, I was having under an hour of sleep. And what it was like, my brain, it was like You know those black and white TV, the old TVs, and how it would have the fuzzy things across the screen? That's what my brain was doing. Then there would be like some scenes. You'd see some scenes. Then the black and white again. Then some scenes. And for an hour and under an hour, that is the only thing that was happening to me. Then I went into day, then night, then another day, then another night, another day, and another night. And I had no sleep, none. I was so wired. I didn't understand what was going on. And during the time, I was working in the corporate world. Not only was I working in the corporate world, but I was dealing with a lot of rejection, and a family member literally had to come in my home and take me out of my home for 2 weeks to care for me. And when I had stopped sleeping, I remember her looking at me in my eyes. And she said, Patrice, do you understand what happens when you stop sleeping? And she says, your organs are going to start shutting down. When I said I was a mess completely. I was putting on weight. I wasn't sleeping. I was going to doctors. No one could tell me what was going on. One night, before the worst of the worst happened, I remember God came and sat on my bed. I will never forget this. And he said to me, what was about to happen is necessary. I then went into some of the darkest moments I didn't even know could exist.
Wow.
But God was with me and he brought me through. I ended up coming here to Nassau, and the sleep, the stress, again, going through so much. At one point, the doctor thought I had a heart attack. And the doctor had come to the house. It was between 5 and 6 that morning. And I remember while he was examining me, he said to me, obviously it wasn't your time. And so he continued to examine me and deal with me. And then he said again, obviously it wasn't your time. And when he said that, I said, why did you say that? He looked at me, he said, Patrice, everything you experienced and what you said was what happen to a person just before they die of a heart attack. And he said, obviously, it wasn't your time. A while after that, I was going through, again, the sleeplessness, the heart palpitations. And around 2, 3 something one morning, I thought I was having another heart attack. And then I called a friend. And I remember I woke her up this is around 2 or 3 in the morning. And I was so afraid. And so gently, she said to me, Patrice, I don't know why you will not accept it that you're perimenopausal. Now, when she said that, now here's what had just happened. I was just online searching, trying to find out. It's like, because I was praying, what is this? What, God, what? And I saw a lot of stuff. And it looked like I was menopausal, perimenopause. But as far as I was concerned, I was too young.
Too young.
Now, let me tell you, and I say this, I always tell this part of the story because a lot of women do the same thing. Before coming here, I worked with some older women. So I saw one lady go through menopause and her hot flashes and all of that stuff. And I saw the next lady and she didn't have anything go wrong with her. But the one with the hot flashes, I used to say, in the name of Jesus, no, that is not happening to me. And so I said, listen here, I'm decreeing and declaring this is never going to happen to me. And so even when it was happening, somehow, serious denial. But when And it was God that morning. And so I began a journey. Learning about menopause. I was already in the natural health field, but the menopause thing, for whatever reason, I put that to the back of my brain. I didn't want to deal with that. And so I began to do a lot of research and go back to my notes, etc., what I knew about menopause. And I remember, with the help of God, one of the first things that happened, I was having horrible heart palpitation. My heart used to beat so hard and so fast. Then it would just slow down, like flip, that flip. Then sometimes it would like stop, then do these crazy. My heart was doing so much. The doctors were doing every EKG. I think there's so much EKGs all over between Nassau and Grand Bahama with my heart, with them trying to figure out what was going on with me. And eventually, I had a lot of experiences, but a friend of mine said to me, Patrice, there are other women who graduated from you, from school. And we had about 50, 60 something women in this group. So what I decided to do was to be transparent. And I put in the group, I told them what was going on with me. And I wanted to know if anybody else was experiencing it. That day in our chat, there's never been a day like that since. 50 something women, and these women all over my school group, people in the US, one of them were fighting in the war. I mean, everything. Every woman was telling their experience. And I was confused. I was like, so if this is normal, why aren't we talking about this? I heard 50 something stories that blew me, from what was happening in the workplace, in their homes with them. And so it began a journey for me. And I was like, well, so why aren't the older women telling the younger women? Why are we walking into menopause and there are women who have gone ahead of us, have not said anything to me? It didn't make any sense.
Well, we can relate to that.
And I began asking women, and the more I asked, I was confused. Honest to goodness, I was confused. And God then, I began to do more studies. Women naturally came to me. I was helping women. And throughout the years, I have been helping women. And then I decided to certify and become a menopause coach, because 99% of the women go into menopause completely unaware, unprepared, and untold for what they will experience physically, emotionally, and psychologically. I deal with them. Just before coming here, I was dealing with a woman. I was dealing with a woman in the church. And I want to talk about what menopause is and talk about this taboo. What God has given me the assignment to do was change the narrative about menopause in this country, so that our women could be more prepared. Let me give you an example. Just before coming here, I was dealing with a lady in the church, and she's dealing with anxiety like crazy, and she's a worship leader. And one of the problems is, because we don't understand what's going on, we think that something's wrong with us. I had another client the other day. I was doing a consultation with her, and I had to help her to understand, no, there's nothing wrong with you. And before I go to that, let me explain menopause.
Yeah, that's a good one, because let's go to, at the very beginning, we're throwing this word very loosely around, so let's define it.
Menopause first is a natural transition in a woman's life. Menopause is that time when a woman ceases from being able to reproduce. Menopause has 3 stages. But menopause is the opposite of what a girl went through during puberty. During puberty, as a little girl, we started having breasts, our shape changed, we started having pubic hair, and it was the body getting ready for reproduction. Menopause is the opposite of puberty. It is the body shutting down from reproduction. Now, during these times, both of these times, hormones, there's a culprit that's involved in it. It's called hormones. And quite simply, hormones are chemical messages that carry message through our blood to your organs, to your muscles, to your tissues. They send signals and tell the body, give instructions as to what to do in your body. Now, when a woman begins the menopausal journey, it begins at what's called perimenopause. Perimenopause is 8 to 10 years before a woman actually stops reproducing, being able to reproduce. Now, during this 8 to 10 years, first of all, every woman, when you come as a girl, we come with eggs. I call it a basket of eggs. And during these last 8 to 10 years, you were using up as a female the last of the eggs that you came to this earth with during perimenopause. And so your ovaries produce what's called estrogen, and your ovaries produce these eggs, and it uses estrogen. Now, there are 3 hormones that are very big during this time for a woman. Other hormones, but the three ones: estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Estrogen is responsible for metabolism. Estrogen is responsible for growth. Estrogen is responsible for how and where we store fat in the body. Estrogen maintains skin, bone, and tissue, including the brain. And I want you to remember that. That is important. Now, during this time of perimenopause, which is the 8 to 10 years before a woman actually stops reproducing, her estrogen level is out of control. Today, it hit. Tomorrow, it hit. Today, it hit. And so it goes all over the place. And because of this, it produces symptoms that we call menopausal symptoms. There are about 35 of them. There's even from 35 to 45. And one research showed even now it's about 66. I had a naturopathic doctor friend of mine come from Texas, and she was sharing with me, with her and a group of doctors, what they were learning and saying. So these, and I want to be able to share a screen because this is so important. A lot of women do not understand what is going on with them. And so they think that something is wrong with them. And I want to go to, okay, this is the screen I want to share of the symptoms. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I want to go through this. Women experience from hot flashes and night sweats to fatigue, to dizziness, loss of libido, mood swings, irritability, hair loss, weight gain, palpitations, bloating, headaches, tinnitus. I was on a show in Grand Bahama a couple of weeks ago. And when I was talking about the tinnitus, the ringing in the air, one woman was saying, oh, hers began 2 months ago. She was trying to figure out what is going on. That is a part of the menopausal journey. Bladder weakness, memory lapse. Look, that's so real.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
I had an incident the other day. I am going to a 3 o'clock appointment. I am driving, trying to hurry up, get there. In the middle of driving, I had a lapse, and I was like, oh God, where am I going? Where am I going? Oh, and I'm like, Lord Jesus, where am I going? I could not remember where I am driving to go. And for a good 10 or more seconds, I had to slow down because I couldn't remember. And what happened was, it was like an empty room with 4 white walls. And it was like my brain was trying to find out what was going on.
I could relate to that.
And literally what happens then, I'm going to go ahead of myself, but literally what happens then is that my estrogen level declined. And estrogen has a big connection to the brain, why women have memory lapse, why women have the mood swings, the forgetfulness. And in fact, here's the connection with menopause and the brain. Estrogen is directly linked to your functioning of your brain. Women can't sleep and have insomnia during menopause because the brain stem is not getting the estrogen that it's been used to getting. And because today, like I said, here, and the closer you get to stopping, you are using up the last of the last of the last. So when the stem of the brain is not getting the estrogen is ebbed, you cannot sleep. There's another part of the brain called the amygdala, and right under it is the hippocampus. The amygdala is responsible for memory, concentration, and focus. And right under that is the area that's responsible for moods. And when the neurotransmitters, when the estrogen isn't doing what it is supposed to do, when the estrogen isn't there, then a woman, that's why we have so many women dealing with anxiety. I can't tell you, I just dealt with one today, yesterday another one called me. I deal with these women on a daily basis, women who are depressed and women who, because they're in the church, thinking, something must be spiritually wrong with me. No, it's physiological. It's the way God created. You got some chemicals in your body that are misfunctioning, and it's causing you to misfunction. And the good thing, though, let me just say about the menopause journey and the symptoms is that it does end. Now, how you go through your journey is so important. But let me go on. But I wanted to make sure we understand the connection with the brain. And also, there's a part of the brain called that's responsible for temperature. And when a woman gets a hot flash or a night sweat, what happens is there is a signal that goes to the brain, a wrong signal. And so the brain gets this thinking that a woman is in crisis. So it causes, the signal goes up that you're hot, you need to cool down. And so when the signal goes through, the blood vessels open and blood shoots through a woman's veins. And that's why she gets a hot flash. And then you see some women, they sweat like crazy, etc. All of these have to do with this hormone called estrogen. Okay, the biggest one. Now, I want to continue with the symptoms from the tinnitus, then bladder weaknesses. A lot of women, and that's why women have such a hard time sometimes on the job, etc. Women have bladder weakness. Some women, they can't hold their urine. They urinate themselves. There's some women who have a lot of leakages. And this is real. I mentor a group of women called, and for those of you listening, I mentor a group of menopausal women, a private Facebook group. It's called Menopause Survival Care. You can go on and request to join, and I will let you in. Again, it's Menopause Survival Care. And the symptoms are crazy. You literally will hear people talk about how they had these accidents where they literally wet themselves up, and it's not easy. Then women deal with dry skin and itchy skin. That was a part of my issue at one point, the dry, itchy skin because of the estrogen decline. And I often tell people, if you have that, let me know. I have something called Recapture. It's what I use. It is amazing. Then some women dealing with nausea, joint pains, Again, because of the job of estrogen in the body, there's so many things that affect it. Anxiety, I mean, that is a common one. And simply the estrogen, when that's happening with a woman, her estrogen has declined, her neurotransmitters aren't doing what it's supposed to do. So that is a result. And I have to tell many women, look, nothing's wrong with you. And I help women through this part of their journey as to what they can do to help themselves. Another thing, brittle nails, digestive issues, urinary incontinence, and that's when a woman is wetting up herself, low mood, urinary tract infection, vaginal dryness. This is a big, big thing. Estrogen is responsible for that pH balance, that acidic balance of the vagina area. And when there's no longer the estrogen, there is dryness, difficulty concentrating, osteoporosis, emotional changes, depression, insomnia, a lot of women, hair loss, thinning. All of these are a part of what happens with a woman when she is going through menopause. And the thing is, every woman, menopause looks different on every woman. We have a group of women who go into menopause and they sail through menopause. Some of them say they do not have any symptoms, but they do. But it's just that because women are unaware. I was just interviewed by a Florida station on Friday, and the interviewer, the host who was talking to me, she was saying she had none, but when she recognized when I was going through, she said, yes. Our symptoms look different. There is another set of women who go through menopause, and most women deal with the hot flashes and the night sweats. Then 25% of women deal with the severe symptoms. And here in our country, we have over 3,000 women that enter menopause every year. So that's at least 750 women who are going through the severe symptoms. I had a husband just call me the other night, and he was on the phone with me for over an hour. His wife of 30-something years. They're no longer together. It's like she just lost it. And he's saying it's irreparable what she has done. I mean, I get these calls from the damage it does in families and home, to what it does in the workplace, to what it does in relationships, etc., to what it does to women. And when a woman is going through these changes and she is not clear as to why it's happening, it's very difficult for her to explain to her mate what is happening, because she is confused. I had a lady the other day call me from Eleuthera, and she had said to me that her husband, he was confused. He was saying to her, he knew the kind of person she is, but he's wondering if she's being unfaithful to him. But yet he was perplexed. And when I began to talk with her, and I knew right away what was going on with her, but I allowed her I needed to hear all what she was going through. And then I explained to her what was going on. And as she's like, yes, and yes. And she was saying, and then she wanted me to speak to her husband. And I was saying, no, I need to educate you so that you could sit down with your husband and explain to him. I have women who tell me all the time after they've heard me, many times their husband and them are sitting together when they get to hear me. And then the husband understands that she's not hallucinating. In my group, so many women say they are so grateful for the support group, because they were hallucinating. And a lot of times women need to know at that point, listen, it's okay. You are not going crazy. You are not alone. It's physiological what's happening. And not only is it physiological, a lot of times, because women don't understand, they don't know how to help themselves. I was looking at a research that was done recently, and it showed that us women in the Western world, and it was a US study, over 75% of the women over 50 experience hot flashes and night sweats, etc. In the eastern part of the world, in China, the women, only 10% of the women know anything about hot flashes. And Japan is 22, and the other one is Singapore, 17%. And what the research was showing was the difference in the diet and what we are doing. Here in the Western world, we have no clue what we are doing. Let me give an example. As women, every day, and of course, this is when we are productive, we're excreting, I think it's 16 mgs of estrogen. The farm animal that you eat, when you go to the food store and you buy the chicken, etc., they produce 10 times more estrogen than your female body produces. And the cow, when you eat a pregnant cow, when you eat her beef, that cow produces at that time thousands of times more estrogen than your body produces. And during the time, one of the reasons why we have such a hard time is that the liver is trying to get rid of all of this excess estrogen. You notice our girls are going into puberty early, having breast early, because of the foods we're feeding them, and our bodies are reacting to all of this stuff. And so one of the things I try to tell women at this point, your food, what you put in this good body that's fearfully and wonderfully made, it is so important. Doing what God says, eating the way He wants us to eat. When we eat plant-based, here's how God, the creator of this body, set it up. There's such a synergistic happening between plants and us. Plants have what's called phytoestrogen, which is close to the human estrogen. And when you eat plants, when you eat your kale, when you eat your spinach, when you eat your flaxseed, when you eat your nuts, these are so high, and your turmeric, these are so high in phytoestrogen. What you are doing, even though your body is being depleted, when you put that in, you are helping your body. You are helping your body. You are helping your body. You're helping your body. So you're dealing with the night sweats. You're dealing with the heart palpitations. You're dealing with the low sex drive. You're dealing with the dry skin. You're dealing with the urinary tract infection. You watch the way you eat and what you eat. And I promise you, and I tell people, as simple as that is, you will help your body to go through this process much easier. Much easier.
Wow. I mean, some powerful information. I can't believe it's 4:58. We are near to the end of it. We definitely need to have you back. There has to be a phase 2 of this.
So much more, yes.
Absolutely. I mean, because I've not even started my questions, and I have persons in the room with questions. Questions are in the chat. The chat is going. So we want to thank you so very much. Yes. I think I'm going to just I know that you have more to share, but just in the interest of time, in case someone isn't here for part 2, I just want to open it up for about 5-7 minutes for questions just based on what you have presented, because you have presented some powerful information. I know I've been changed just by what you've shared in those minutes. So I think I saw something. All right, so a question just came in. I'm going to take this question because it's the first, but I know there are earlier questions. How long does menopause period last? Let's start with that. Let's start what age, the starting age of menopause, and how long does it last?
Okay. Like I said, menopause is a journey. Perimenopause begins around 40. If a woman begins menopause prior to that, something usually is wrong with her ovaries or it's medically induced. But menopause, the perimenopause begins at our average age 40. Menopause itself, which is when a woman stops having a period, and menopause happens after a woman has stopped seeing a period for 12 full months. That happens average between 51 and 58. Now, one research shows that Black women, usually, American women usually end at around 49. I know mine 50 something, but yes. And then we have postmenopause, which is after menopause.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and how long would you say the entire, you should be, or I guess it differs from women to women. It differs
from women to, it begins at 40. That's when you actually begin. And a lot of women don't even realize that they're going through until the later mid 40s, when they start feeling all the palpitations. But average age that they stop bleeding is like 51.
51.
So it's about between 8 to 12 years span that a woman goes through the menopausal journey.
Okay, thank you. I want to get a question in from a male in the group. So we have males. So thank you. Kudos to the men who've joined us in this group. We sent out the invite. Dave was like, you sure you want to discuss this topic? But I believe that we're now at a place and time where our men are interested just as much as our female in getting information, because they want us assist and support. So thank you so much to the men in the room. Kudos to you. So a question coming from one of the men in the room. What test is done for menopause diagnosis? Then he followed up, he said, it should be mandatory to get checkups close to the menopause time for women. This is a good one. Mandatory counseling education for families. I love that.
That is what that's the mandate God has given me. In fact, before the lady I was talking to, I'm forming a team with a gynecologist. The physician that initially worked with me, unfortunately, she passed about 6 weeks ago. And it's been a difficult journey for me. Now I have to get another physician, but I'm looking to work now with another a gynecologist and also a therapist. Because a lot of my women have to go through therapy. They have to go through therapy. And you are right. We need to do, and I'm on a journey. God has given me this because so much is happening, and menopause is affecting so much, and the family included. And he is right. There is a test, the FSH test, that a woman can do, but really, and this is a hormone that's secreted from the pituitary gland. Once you hit 40, you have begun the process. The problem is understanding. You see that same list I shared? That what happens is a lot of times women just think it's age when it's not. And so because they don't know, they don't understand, you wave it off. And so things that you could be doing to help yourself, you're not doing. Things that you should not be doing, you're doing. So it's compounding the problem.
You definitely compounded it. I just want to end with this. I don't know if anyone else have a pressing question, but I want to talk a little bit about this fact because I experienced it from my own personal file. I'm pulling this one out and I didn't realize it. I'm normally a very, very positive, upbeat person. And so when I started to experience depression, I didn't know what it was. I couldn't identify because, when you're numb, you just thinking you're crazy. Like, how could you go from being seen to insane? Like what? And I started to process and analyze, like what could have happened to cause this. I did not trace it to menopause originally. I really didn't know. That's just how naive and crazy I was at that particular time.
99%
so maybe in
of the
denial.
women are doing that.
Yes, in denial. And let me tell you, it's particularly difficult for women of faith, women in church.
Yes, yes,
right?
I can
You
tell
got the
you.
Bible, you got the word, you got positive confession. So you confess it away. And then your body says so. So just speak a little bit to that as our ending topic.
Yes, that especially is a concern for me. The lady I just spoke to today who called me a worship leader, the next one yesterday, big in the community. And I'm telling people, look, it ain't spiritual. It's physiological. God made you spirit, soul, and body. And each part of you needs to be tended to. And just how something could happen to your leg and it needs to be fixed and tended to if it's broken, the same thing it happens to you physically, emotionally, and psychologically. So yes, there are women in the church, and I want you to know, listen, first of all, if you need assistance, I have first of all, I have the Facebook group where women can go. It's called Menopause Survival Care. For those of you who want more information, you can text menopause to 439-3242. That number again, 439-3242. And I have a free downloadable that talks about menopause and hacks that you can do to help yourself. But as Christian women, we need to lead by example and let other women know that this is a natural part that the Creator of this wonderful, fearful, and wonderfully made body has put. It's called change, a transition. We went from childhood to puberty. From puberty, we went into adulthood. From adulthood, now it's another change. You're not able to reproduce anymore. And so nothing's wrong with you. It's about understanding. My people perish for lack of knowledge. It's just a lack of knowledge and understanding. And when you do, we're able to sail through it much easier.
Well, thank you so very much. I know we're past our time. I want to say thank you. We're definitely having you back on the show.
I will be glad to be back.
Definitely you will be back because I've not even started really in the question section. And like I said, there are persons who have questions, and unfortunately we are out of time, but it's always great when we can have a guest on the show and we can have a topic that is relevant and can transform the lives of our listening audience. So we want to say a big, big thank you to you. We will definitely get back with you. I think Father's Day is the next show, and maybe the following show. We got persons giving you applause. Thank you so much, Portia. You've been a wonderful. I see one hand. I think Krishna has a question before we end. Let me see if that's correct.
I see Candy Evans, Jackie. Did she answer a question? Candy Evans, I see a hand there.
Okay, Candy, and I see a Krishna roll also. So maybe we can have those two before we end. Please, Global, bear with us just to accommodate these two questions.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you so much for this show and this timely topic. I have what I wanted to say and ask is myself at the age of 27, I wasn't 30 yet, and I got tied off. I had a tubal tie, and afterwards I had those symptoms of menopause, but I was really, really sick. I think I had probably most of all of those symptoms. I went to just about every doctor in Nassau, and all the tests is like, we don't know what's wrong with you because these tests are not showing, picking up anything. And so at one point, the doctor said, you probably need a psychiatrist. And, I was having hot flashes and everything, palpitation, everything, until I went to the States and I took a test, and they said that you are 100% menopause. And I was really shocked.
Yes,
and, I think
you
if
were
I had
forced into menopause,
I think if I had the knowledge of, I think my body wasn't prepared for it, building up your body with certain vitamins. And one thing I noticed when I took mineral tests and stuff, they said a lot of Black women are lacking in vitamin D. I know that for sure. My vitamin D level was very low. So what vitamin would you suggest to take for menopause? Thanks.
Here's what I always tell women: get a plant-based, not just vitamin, a vitamin and a mineral supplement that's plant-based, because you need those micro nutrients, the full spectrum of vitamins and minerals. And let me tell you something, we have a lot of natural stuff that we take for granted. Literally, my client I just dealt with, because she was having a difficult time, I took some stuff to her. Included in that, I gave her some I had to blend some sea moss for her, and then I gave her some Gano and something called Sleepy Night, because she really wasn't sleeping and she was really becoming erratic. Take your sea moss, as crazy as that sounds. Sea moss has so much of the minerals the body needs on a daily basis. When it comes to vitamins, as long as it's plant-based, I know for me, I prefer liquid, but there are a number of options out there. Make sure it's plant-based and a full spectrum, vitamins and minerals.
Wow, thank you so very much. Thank you. That's good information. And in section 2, we definitely will have more solutions. So you need to stay tuned for our section 2. We will promote it on Facebook and all the mediums, and we will ensure that you have sufficient time to invite all your friends. And when I told you that it was a powerful guest, I meant exactly that. I think we have one last question, and then we will end. I think there was one other person. Krishna, is that question still, you still have a burning question? Okay, go right ahead.
My question too was about what vitamins or supplements you can take for menopause.
Okay, believe it or not, lifestyle has a lot to do with it, along with your vitamins and minerals. First of all, eating. Again, as crazy as this sounds, you load up on things like your kale, your spinach, your nuts, your organic tofu, flaxseed. All of these have so much rich phytoestrogen. When you load up on this, and I'm not talking about eating once a day, take your green smoothie in the morning, put your flaxseed in it as well. Put your almonds in it as well. Lunchtime, make sure you have another salad or something. Put some nuts on it. Put some, everything that has, again, food is our medicine. We are not convinced of that yet. Like I said, when I was having the heart palpitations and I learned about bananas, 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what stopped crazy heart palpitations? 4, 5, and 6 bananas, loading up on the potassium. And as sure as God creates the sunrise and the sunset, it causes the heart to normalize. But if it's understanding what you need and how much you need. You need to be eating a lot of foods that have the natural phytoestrogen. You need your omega-3, eating things like fish, things like salmon. The flaxseed and chia also has that stuff. It's about putting the right thing in the body. And once we create the right environment for the body, God has created this body to know how to do what it has to do naturally. There's an internal intelligence system. It's us messing it up by what we're putting it in. So eating the correct foods. Honestly, stay away from those meats that have all those estrogen in them. They are not your friend at this time. Drink lots of water. You need exercising. And we'll talk about that because we'll talk about postmenopause and what is happening in our country with postmenopause. It is so prevalent. You see it, but yet we have not been connecting the dots.
Wow, powerful information. Thank you so much, the one and only Miss Michelle White, for allowing us this extra time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We don't want to take it for granted and outstay our welcome. But once again, thank you to the one and only Miss Patrice Lockhart for an awesome, informative, life-changing presentation. She's actually going to also be our guest MG Rebirth's guest on the 23rd of June. So I just want to get that out. She's talking about health emergency. So we're going to be sharing that link. So you're free to join us. It's no cost. You can come in the Zoom room. And once again, Ms. Lockhart will be presenting important, vital information to change your life. You have been listening to the show, Transforming Lives. There are so many friends, family members, supporters in the room. For those of you who are here in the room for the first time, or you're listening on Facebook. I'm always told I forget those are listening on Facebook. So let me get it all in very quickly. Facebook, YouTube, cable TV channel 974. Thank you so much for connecting with us. This is Jackie Gardner saying, have a wonderful Sunday, and turning it over to the one and only Mr. David Williams. David.
Thank you very much, Jackie, for a wonderful show. Thanks to our guest, Ms. Patrice Lockhart, for an interesting conversation. I know you said you would bring her back again, so that opportunity is always there. Just want to remind those of you before we sign off, next week, CC Sweeting, having a game night next week, Saturday night, 6 p.m. at the school, the old campus. If you know anyone who attended CC, or if you just want to come out and support, you can invite them out. If you need a number to reach me, 433-6917, 433-6917. Also want to remind you of next week, Sunday, 9/11, Jackie and I will be at the Department of Corrections, formerly known as Her Majesty's Prison, 9 a.m. in the morning to 11 a.m. We'll be having a live broadcast as we have a special services for 150 to 200 residents at the Department of Corrections. And then we'll be back later on in the afternoon for our regular Father's Day show, because next week is Father's Day and we want to big up our men. Also want to remind you, this coming Monday, tomorrow night, 7 p.m., there's a planning meeting at Creative Christian Arts Ministry with Apostle Henry Higgins. That's just north of Commonwealth Bank on Nassau Street. And so I'm inviting you, if you wish to be a part of that program, don't meet me there, you ought to beat me there. And Tuesday night, the Brotherhood led by Dr. Carlos Reed, an alternative to gang violence. Bring out the young men, let them be a part of it. Here are some of the plans that Dr. Carlos Reed has to deal with the situation of gang violence and at-risk youths. That's the Hope Center, 7 p.m. this coming Tuesday. Once again, happy anniversary to Dr. Macmillan and his wife for 61 years of marital bliss. Truly, we can say to God be the glory for great things he has done. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the program Transforming Lives on Global 99.5, Cable TV 974. Dave Williams, my co-host Jackie Gardner, our guest, Ms. Patrice Lockhart. We here every Sunday afternoon seeking to share information about the transformation of lives. And of course, we recognize that the greatest transformation that can take place is having a relationship with Christ. Not your church, nor my church, not your denomination, nor my denomination. We're talking about a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, who alone gives us eternal life. We can have the assurance of that now. You don't have to wait till we die and be unsure. We can have that now. Dave Williams, Jackie Gardner, Global 99.5, Transforming Lives, encouraging you to have a wonderful Sunday afternoon.